everybody out there listening to Lunch Talks podcast. Welcome to the 6th episode. Today we're going to do a lightning round with me and Matthew. I'm going to start out with questions, and we're going to ask each other 3 questions. Just lightning round questions, really, really quick. So here's the first question for you, Matthew. What do you think is the biggest inhibitor to the growth and development of humanity in our culture?
What is the biggest inhibitor? I would probably say apathy, or even a lack of desire to gain knowledge, and that's where my motivation has come lately. And it's on my screensaver on my computer. But it's never stop learning. It convinces me to say I want to invest in learning whatever it is that's in front of me, and I think that's what's leading where we are, because when you have that apathy or any kind of lack of motivation, what you're left to is someone to tell you what to do, how to live, do this or that. And I think right now we've seen way too many instances, at least here, where I can tell that people aren't exactly living for themselves. They're pretty much just living the lives that they were supposed to live. People say we don't have a royalty here in the United States like Britain does, but we kind of do, because a lot of people now are just growing up believing whatever is their bloodline to believe, So, all right. So now I'll ask my first question. Do you find pleasure in working and thus getting something done, or not doing anything at all, and why?
I love both. Okay, so
I
really do. So number one, why do I love not doing anything? I think in our society we're working way too much, and it's really important to have some time to just relax, just take a break. If you look at hunter-gatherer societies, I know I talk about these guys all the time, but they're only working like 11 or 15 hours a week, and what they call work is going out and hunting and fishing with their friends, with their buddies.
What we now call recreation.
Yes, and now we're working like 60, 70, 80 hours a week as human beings. We're not meant to do that. We're not meant to be like these hamsters on this wheel. But conversely, I like working because when I do it, sometimes I'll listen to like really classical music, and I get in this zone, like this alpha brainwave zone, where I just feel like zen, and I'm like, oh yes, I'm doing something productive. I'm helping myself in my life, and I'm like, yes, I feel really good from that.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay, my second question for you is, what changes do we need to make in our educational institutions to promote the well-being of students as a whole?
I would say, and this is something that I've thought of a lot lately, school takes way too long.
Yeah.
We are in school from literally before we can even, handle ourselves, and, we're still wearing diapers. We're in school from then until, now for us as seniors. And then you have college, and really what matters is like junior, senior year, and then college, because junior, senior year is when you're actually mature enough to understand what's going on, so then you take that and then you can go into college, and then college is where you actually start to learn about this specific field, and then you go into your professional world, where then you learn what you have to do for your job,
Yeah.
And I honestly think that we are in school way too long, because if let's just say we canceled out stuff like, early pre-K and stuff, where, and this is a bit of a dichotomy, if you will, because at the same time you don't want to have no education, no system built in for these, youngsters. But I think that if you devoted that amount of time to more of emotional and, if you will, spiritual, not necessarily religious, but spiritual well-being, where they learn to be happy before they learn to be educated. Right now we're in a world where we learn to be educated, and then you have to learn to be happy on your own. I think if you fostered an environment, if you will, that said, all right, you need to embrace yourself. You need to, accept, not accept, but if you will, something, say, learn who you are and then devote that person to being the best who that person can be. If you spend a lot of time doing stuff like that, I think that could help our generations become, more excited about learning. Because honestly, I've never seen a sixth grader that is like depressed. I know a lot of us, who get home and it's like, okay, I have like 12 hours of homework to do. What I'm gonna do? Sixth graders, they're dancing and screaming and stuff, but yet they're in an educational institution. But if we could figure out a way to foster that all the way up until even like seventh grade, and say do some learning there in like the fourth to sixth grade, and then seventh to eighth just kind of integrate more learning in classroom to where high school is your first experience as a full-time student. See what I'm saying? I think that could help. And my second point would be teachers right now are the scum of the earth.
There are some wonderful teachers out there.
No, I know. But I'm saying societally, people, I mean, if I were to say, hey, Brennan, I'm Matt, I'm a teacher down at the elementary school, you'd be like, okay, so, obviously he can't get a job somewhere else or something. And you're right. There are some really, really great teachers, and those are the people who honestly are my role models in life. And if you look at more ancient societies, who are the main people in the society? Your clergy, your royalty, and your teachers, pretty much. Your educators.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. Because people. I mean, what else is there to do other than to be educated? To be educated was almost a recreational kind of thing. It was something that people wanted to go do, so they found a mentor who was very, very prized, and then followed him or her or whoever.
Yeah.
So that's where we need to get. We need to have teachers being up there with lawyers and doctors. People saying, "Well, what do you want to do when you grow up?" Teachers, and they say, "Oh, wow, that's great. I think, that's a great job for you." Whereas honestly, with me, and I do want to become a teacher. I've said that before, and people are like, "Look, you don't want to do that. It's it's the wrong job. I don't know who's telling you to do that." And I'm sitting there like, the people who I have spent more time with my teachers than I have my parents, honestly. And so how is that not a more valuable place? So I think teachers and I mean. I don't think it's the way, or I don't think it's the curriculum in school, but I think it's the way. We need to re-engineer school because, I mean, for me, and probably a lot of the watchers or listeners of this, and probably too, we can learn stuff so much quicker if we were to just search it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned a hell of a lot more watching a 40-minute documentary about Chernobyl than I've ever learned in any other Chernobyl, part in classroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why is that? That's my question. So how do we take that and apply that? So that's where that goes for me. My second one's very simple. What is the key to life?
The key to life? I have no idea. And I think that's where I want to keep it. I mean, I think some important tenets of it are follow your heart, do what you love, and respect and be kind to other people, but don't, push your own needs down to make other people happy.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good answer. And I might tangent a little bit off, but on that, and this is what I've been thinking of lately, there was something that I was thinking about, with imposing certain rights and stuff like that. And I guess you can apply it to gay marriage. I thought there was something else that I was thinking about. But some people say that it's against their religion to have gay marriage, and they don't believe that it should be here in America and stuff like that. And my feeling, and people have said this before. Okay, I don't at all disagree that is your opinion. I don't at all disregard it. I think your opinion is what you are entitled to. But I see a huge problem when your rights are being are becoming superior to someone else's rights. You know what I mean? It's kind of the individuality. You do you. If you don't want a gay marriage, don't get a gay marriage. But if this person over here wants a gay marriage, let him do that.
Yeah.
And I think what it was going to was, from Citizens United, where companies and big money organizations are pumping a lot of money into campaigns. And that is their right, because it's under the Supreme Court decision, that is their right to freedom of speech. But my freedom of speech, I feel, is being impeded by that. Absolutely. So yes, that is their right. But again, it's your right to have freedom of speech, in school. But at the point, or in society or wherever, but at the point that you start defaming someone, that is literally against the law. Yeah. So yeah, you have freedom of speech, but you can't defame somebody. You have your rights up to the limit where you've imposed or impeded someone else's rights. And I feel like my rights are being impeded by that. So I don't know where that came from your answer, but it was just something that I was thinking about that I wanted to put in the podcast. So now it's your turn. Your question.
Okay. Let's see. Question number 3. Mm-hmm. What is your view on the future of humanity? Death and destruction, or eventually finding peace?
That is a really good question. I think, or I'd like to think, that it's happiness and peace. But eventually, the human species is going to die out. I mean, it may take thousands of years. It may be tomorrow. But eventually it will die out, just as almost every other species, whatever percentage of species that, already has. I mean, we don't have but a fraction of the species that have ever lived on Earth. So I mean, it's not like we are some superior race. I mean, even though we would like to think so, dinosaurs, if they had the consciousness that we do, would think the same. It's kind of like the lone lottery effect. Just because we feel like we are the only species ever to have this consciousness, to ever have the superiority that we have, doesn't mean that we are the only, species that can dominate. The person who thinks that they're going to win the lottery, or the person who wins the lottery doesn't think that they're going to win the lottery. No one ever won the lottery thinking that they were going to win the lottery. Yeah. Someone who gets a rare disease, you don't get that disease thinking, oh, I'm probably going to get this disease. You know what I mean? Most of the time it's sudden, and it's surprising, but I like to think that we could get to peace and happiness. I think this generation might start something, hopefully, because I think this generation, and this is something funny that I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about Bernie Sanders and how he's been, connecting with millennials, and they're like, why? And they're like, but, one, you're old, and two, you claim, yourself as a democratic socialist. And they were like, millennials don't care. Millennials don't care that you're called a socialist, or you're called that, or you're old, or you're white, or you're black, or anything. I mean, we don't care. This generation is huge in respecting other people. I really think so. I mean, there are some bad eggs in there, but that's how every generation is going to be. But I really think that we are gaining a generation right now of everyone who's pretty much under 30 that, we kind of would rather see the world be peaceful and happy, like we were just now talking about at the Super Bowl. Comes up in the sayings, believe in love. They're working together. I mean, that's I think that's really where we're going. You didn't see that kind of stuff really until, the hippie movement in the 70s. And that was seen as a much more radical, uprising, if you will. And not until now has it become more of the norm, kind of, instead of being like, dude, groovy, man, with the believe in love, peace, man.
It's like normal people care about those kind of ideas.
Right. The weird people are the people who say, let's go kill everybody. Yeah. Or let's, light the sand on fire, carpet bomb. Those are the people who are more detracted, I think, from the mainstream society, if you will. So, all right, my third and last question. If you could go to one place in the world for the rest of your life and never leave, would you do it? And if so, where?
No, I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't want to never be able to leave. I definitely want to travel all over the place. Let me think. One place that I fell in love with, absolutely fell in love with, I saw this movie in 9th grade called 180 Degrees South. This guy took a boat down to this place called Patagonia in South America. Mm-hmm. One of the last environmentally untouched places on Earth, and it is stunning. Listeners, please look this place up on Google Images. There's like snow-capped volcanoes and just glistening waterfalls and just plains and greens and not a human in sight. So if I plan on going there and other places in my life, but I would not just stay in one spot. I couldn't do that.
I think what we're going to try and do, listeners, is do some more of these lightning rounds. We're going to try and make it shorter. We're going to try and just do, a couple questions, get it done. And hopefully that'll, spark some new interest. And, with our new intro and everything, we're kind of revamping some stuff. Also, as of yesterday, which is a week ago from the time that this is up, our iTunes podcast is on, and it is live. And so go check that out. Just type in Lunch Talks with Matt and Brendan, or just Lunch Talks, whatever. It's got our logo on it, which you can see at the beginning of this video in YouTube. Go check it out. It's gonna be it's the same audio, but if that's a better listening avenue for you than YouTube, please go check it out. It's gonna be super awesome, and I think this is gonna really be a lot of fun. So thanks guys for listening.